Hello everyone, hope everything is good. I wanted to start this week's task by having a look back at the initial ideas from last week. So we asked you to come up with a photo holder, and what I'm doing on the screen right now is just doing a bit of a kind of concept generation. What I've done is drawn the ground and 3 photos at random above it. Now, the nice thing about that is what we can then do is it kind of forces the brain to try and work out how to solve that problem. How are we going to suspend these photos at that height? And as you can see, I've used curvy lines and then angular lines and almost like this kind of curving arc, almost a kind of hybrid of the two ideas before it. But I find that a really good way of just generating very, very quick ideas. I'm not worried about drawing in 3D. And it just kind of, it's an inspiring way for me to do it. And it's non-committal. I'm not expecting them all to be amazing, but it can sometimes lead to some interesting ways of approaching this design task. So it might be one for you to try out if you're really struggling to come up with some ideas. As you can see here, I'm just very quickly drawing in different random shapes and seeing if I come up with anything that I like. Again, just 2D, you draw the base, you draw some floating photographs, and then you try and join those two together with some shapes. This week's task, however, we're going to go on to something called development. So I'm going to take what we've seen from the first idea from the last page, and I'm going to do some development drawings. Now, what development drawings show us is a wee bit more detail about how the product is made and how it goes together. So, for example, I've done an enlarged view of the base, and then I've written a couple of annotations which say, holes drilled into the base, and clearly the bars would then slot into those holes. That's one way of solving that problem. There's probably hundreds of ways. I've then had a look at how the photo actually attaches to the top of the curvy bit. So I've got this aluminium block, I've cut a little channel in it, and I've again drilled a hole to slot the two together. This is design, so we're looking for creative ways to solve problems. So that's pretty much what design is all about. So in your design development, you might actually come up with a range of different ways to solve these problems. I'm then going to show you just another one from the first page. Again, these were all just designed at random when I did my first initial ideas. What we've got here is an exploded view. So I'm showing that there's the block at the bottom, which is drawn as an isometric, and then I've got one of the bars floating above that. Finally, a bolt, which kind of will hold the two together. On the right-hand side, as I'm drawing there, that's an enlarged view. They're really useful if you're trying to do kind of close-up views of individual small parts. It's almost like a magnifying glass. You draw a small circle and then a larger circle to show the part that's being magnified. What I've then done is added a few more annotations or notes just to kind of show what I'm thinking, the decisions that I'm considering, any decisions that I've made. Again, I'm saying these parts have been have holes drilled through and then held with a bolt. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. That's called design development, and it goes from having our initial ideas, and as you can see there, just into a bit more detail. So that's what we're looking for this week. Take one or two of your ideas, try and go into a bit more detail about how these things would actually be made and assembled. If you're feeling really clever, you can start talking about specific materials and why you've chosen them, something that we covered early days in third year D&M. Okay, good luck.